So what was it like to meet Michael? I heard that you have an amazing story of how that all played out. Let me know.
On the day I was set to meet Michael, I thought something would fall apart and not allow it to happen. I thought maybe he wouldn't show up, or even though I saw on the international news that he arrived in Japan, which is obviously a huge deal, I wasn't sure if he would actually come to the event. So I was almost convinced myself that something would fall apart and it wouldn't work out. But nonetheless, the day of, I got ready and I was very tired because I was on Japanese time and I'm from the USA. So when it came time to get ready, I was really tired. But at the same time, I knew I was like, okay, well, like in 4 hours, I'm going to meet Michael, which didn't even seem realistic. Like this, my body literally went into shock mode. This isn't something a normal human can deal with, knowing that that's on their schedule. So I got ready. I went to the event. It was hard to catch a cab, believe it or not, even though I was dressed like Michael. A lot of cab drivers didn't want to deal with that because they're very conservative, I guess. And from that moment, they dropped me off. As soon as I got there, the worldwide press was there, so CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox, all of them were there, and they actually thought I was Michael when I first got there because I was wearing a surgical mask, and I was wearing actually the last thing he wore in Japan. And then from there, I was standing in line. I was one of 300 guests. I was number 14 of 300 guests that got to meet Michael, so it's kind of like a little kid getting to stand in line to meet Santa Claus. And again, it was very surreal. I didn't believe it was happening. Everyone went in, just smiling, a normal person, came out screaming and crying and dirty nose coming out, like, because they were so overtaken by meeting Michael that it was like a shock. I'm like, what is going to happen in this room when I meet him? Because these people are going from sane to like crazy chaotic, like full on panic mode, like anxiety attack. And then when I stepped in the room with him, I heard his real voice briefly. So his real voice is actually pretty normal. It's not like very high strung like you always hear him in, because that's his character. He doesn't do that in public, but when he's just around his security or something, then it's no problem. And I heard that briefly. He was laughing about the last person that was in the room with him, who was crying and like dirty nose and screaming and having a seizure. And I went in there and I tapped him on the shoulder because I heard his normal voice, and then he didn't know I was in the room. As soon as I tapped him on the shoulder, he changed. His whole persona changed because he knew a fan was in the room. And he looked at me like up and down, like, and he goes, "Where are you from?" And like as soon as him asking me a question came to play, I didn't even know where I was from. Like I literally had to think about it. I was like, Denver, Colorado, USA. Like very questionative because it was so weird to have him gazing at me and looking at, examining my costume, because I'm trying to wear the same thing he is. So as an artist, that would be like seeing a counterfeit painting. He's going to be looking at all the things that are different. I wasn't intimidated by that, but it was awkward to have him literally examining me as far as that's concerned. And then he asked me my name, and I forgot. I was like, Carlo Riley? And he just looked at me again, and I only saw him like this. He looked through the sunglasses because the sunglasses are so dark you can't really see through them. And then I asked him for a hug and an autograph, and his security guard got really angry about me asking for an autograph. And Michael motioned for a pen. He went like this, like, pen. And I didn't have a pen. And then the security guards hands him one, like, out of his chest jacket, and hands it to Michael, and he just rolled his eyes. He was like, he was so irritated that I asked for it. And then he signed my ticket in Michael's palm, love Michael Jackson. And then part of the piece from the system, you got an 8x10 autographed photo of Michael, but they hadn't given it to me yet. So I was like, oh, where's the autographed 8x10? And they're like, you just got his autograph. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, the one that comes with it. And they go, you get that outside. And like all the security was so mad that I asked about it. And then as soon as I came out, CNN and ABC and Fox and everyone was like, what did he say to you? Like there was just like hundreds of people asking me what Michael had said to me, which is super interesting. Again, I'm a pretty normal person, so to have that kind of attention is crazy.
So lead me through, now that you got to meet Michael and then you've gotten to meet his family, lead me through the day that Michael Jackson died, and then also the memorial that they had in Los Angeles. Give me the shorter version.
Yeah, the short version on that, I was at work on June 25th. And I was actually in a meeting that was going on for hours. It was really boring, so I kept Googling Michael, which is something I used to do, to see where he would turn up. Because he would pop up in the Middle East, then all of a sudden he's in Ireland, and then he's in the USA. So it would be like a kind of a game to catch him where he was at, because he'd always get international press. But for some reason, the internet service was down in my building. So I kept Googling Michael and nothing came up. But then I had a meeting to attend, so I left, and one of my close friends called me, and I answered because no one hasn't given my number, which is amazing. And he was like, is it true about Michael? I was like, what? And he's like, they said he died. And I was like, no, that's stupid. Like, they always say stuff like that about him. He's like, no, I think it's serious. It's on CNN. And I was like, no, that's not true. But like, thanks for calling me. Hung up. Right after that, I got like 50 text messages from all over the world of people saying, is it true? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is crazy. And then I turned on my car, and the radio station it was on said, and this is in tribute to Michael Jackson. And started playing one of his songs. And I was like, no way, this is crazy, because I was going to London like a week from then to go to one of his shows. And then more and more text messages, more and more calls. Everyone was like, no, I think this is serious, man. Like, this really happens. And TMZ was the only one to confirm it. But then, they're tabloids, so I didn't think, I was like, well, maybe that's not true. But then once everyone else confirmed it, it was horrible for me, because, I'm a big fan of his, like, besides what I do. So, like, it was like Superman died. And then everyone I know knows I'm, like, so in love with Michael. So everyone called me, or any number I have, they had knew me. It's like friends from 20 years ago are calling other friends of mine 10 years ago. Like, everyone wants to know, like, how is Carlo doing? And truth be told, one of the gifts of being a Michael Jackson fan is they immediately went to praise with him right away. So when he died, I got asked to perform all over the world, like Australia, Dubai, Canada, Middle East, anywhere, South America. So like, I was so busy, I didn't even have time to mourn his death. And to this day, it was only like the first couple hours when he died that I was upset, but then all of a sudden I was overwhelmed with people trying to pay tribute to him, to use me in some fashion. So I don't know if that's just a delayed reaction and it'll come back someday to haunt me, but that's the way it went down.